Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you my must-have makeup brushes for the face, eyes and lips. Now there's quite a few different brands of makeup brushes to choose from, so I know it can definitely be quite confusing, but I've chosen my all-time favourite brushes that I pretty much can't live without. I use them in all of my makeup tutorials and all of my makeup when I'm going to an event or anything like that. So if you'd like to see my top picks for makeup brushes, then please keep watching. So for brands of makeup brushes, I do tend to go between a couple. Some are a little bit more on the higher end side, but the quality is just amazing that the price is definitely worth it. And then some are also from more of the lower end and they're still amazing quality brushes. My favourite makeup brands for brushes would definitely have to be MAC, ZOEVA, MORPHE and Sigma. Those three are just the most amazing makeup brands that do brushes. And I've never been disappointed in any of the makeup brushes that I've purchased from them. So those are my favourite makeup brands for brushes. So first I'm going to start with my favourite face brushes. For foundation I have two brushes that I really like to use. The first is the Morphe M439 and this is a round topped kabuki brush. This one is just so incredible for applying your foundation. You can really buff it into the skin in circular motions. It has really soft compact brush hairs. They're just really soft and really smooth, and this is what helps to give you that really flawless finish to your foundation. So if I'm using a foundation brush, it'll definitely be more of a kabuki style brush because I find they give the best coverage for your foundation and they give you the best finish as well. So this is the Morphe M439 and this one is the Sigma F80 Flat Kabuki. This one has more of a flat top, so I find this really good for pressing foundation in, and you just get really good full coverage looks with this brush. And you can also buff it into the skin really nicely. I find you definitely don't have to use a whole lot of product to get really good coverage using the kabuki brushes, so that's why I love to use those the most. I find this to be the perfect size for a foundation brush. I don't like anything too big because I find it quite hard to get around the eye area, so something that's more of a medium size I definitely find helps a lot more to apply foundation with. For concealer, my favourite brush to use is this Morphe G2 brush. This brush is so amazing for applying concealer. First of all, the brush hairs are quite dense and compact, but quite smooth as well. So you can definitely press in your concealer underneath your eyes. You're not going to get any creasing. You get a really good coverage using this brush. This is the one brush that I definitely can't go past for concealer. I just find it just works amazing. It fits really nicely under the eyes. It's more of a small to medium size, so I find it's a good size for getting right around the eyes and also highlighting down the center of the face as well. So I find this Morphe brush to be the best one I've used for concealer. For powder, I first of all have these two smaller size brushes, and these are the brushes I really like to use for setting concealer under the eyes and also setting any highlighted areas on the face. This first one is a Real Techniques brush and it is called a contour brush, but I specifically like to use it to set powder underneath my eyes for concealer. I just find it's the perfect size. It's a little bit smaller so you can get right in under the eye area, and the brush hairs are really soft and compact as well, so the powder is going to really press onto the under eye area and your concealer is not going to budge at all. I find this a really easy brush to set all the highlighted areas on the face. It's just really nice and small and compact, so you don't have to worry about missing any areas. So definitely like this one for setting powder under the eyes especially. And this second one is this ZOEVA 105 Luxe Highlight Brush. This is a highlight brush, but I do really like to use this for setting my highlights under my eyes once again and setting all the areas down the center of the face that I've highlighted. I like to use this to clean up underneath my contour line, so if my contours come down a little bit too low or it's a little bit too thick compared to what I want it to be, I use this one with some powder and just really kind of dust it off, and I find it works perfectly. It's got a little bit more of a tapered end, so you can use the pointed end to be more precise with where you're applying your powder. So this ZOEVA brush is really good for powder on the face. For setting my whole face with powder, I like to use a larger, softer, fluffier brush, and this is the MAC number 135. This brush is so amazing. I do use it for bronzing up my face as well, which I'll talk about in a minute, but to set your powder on your face, this brush is just so easy to use. Because it has really soft hairs, it just kind of glides onto your skin perfectly. It's nice and big, so you're going to cover a lot more areas of the skin a lot quicker. So this MAC 135 brush has definitely been one of my favorites. So I have a couple of favorite brushes for applying bronzer. I know that this seems a little bit excessive, but I do use them for different ways of applying bronzer. So the MAC 135 brush, again, I do like to use this to just really lightly bronze up my skin. Because the bristles are so soft and really flexible and easy to use, you can just really lightly dust any bronzing powder over your skin to warm up your whole face. I use this brush to apply bronzer when I'm wanting to warm up my whole face with bronzer, and this brush I just find works really, really well for that. The next brush is the MAC 168, and this is an angled contour brush. This brush is absolutely perfect for applying bronzer and contour really precisely along the hollows of the cheekbones. The shape of the brush pretty much does all the work for you. So if you're wanting more of a precise application for bronzer, I even use this for blush as well, but specifically for bronzer, I find this brush is probably the best one I have for doing that. And this third brush here is the MORPHE G8. This is a powder brush, but I really love to use this for applying cream bronzer. I just find it applies so smoothly and there's no patchiness and no kind of muddy looking finish with this brush. So I really like to dip this into my cream bronzer and just really kind of work it onto the skin. And because it's more synthetic brush hairs, it really just sits on your skin so nicely. So the Morphe J8 brush I especially love for cream bronzing. For contouring, these are my two favourite brushes to use. So the MAC 168 brush, once again, I do like this to contour. I like to use the tip of the brush at the top to get quite a nice precise contour there. This brush is going to give you more of kind of an airbrushed, lighter contour finish. If you're wanting more of a harsh contour, the next brush I'm going to show you is more for that. This brush is just to give you just a really nice definition into the cheekbone area, and I also use this to contour around my forehead as well. So this is the MAC 168, and this one is the NARS Eater brush. Now this has been talked about quite a lot, but it is the most amazing brush to contour with. The brush being such a precise flat top brush just makes it so incredibly easy to place it right into the hollows of your cheekbones. You don't even need to use a lot of product because this brush is pretty much, the hairs are so dense that it picks up a lot of product quite easily. So I just like to start from the top of my ear and just blend it really nicely down towards the corners of my mouth, and I just find this brush is definitely by far my favourite one to contour with. I do like to use this to contour down my nose as well, just quite lightly. So this is the NARS Eater brush. My favourite brushes to apply blush are these two brushes right here. The MAC 168 again is just the most versatile brush. I use it to apply bronzer, contour, blush and even highlight. But for blush especially, the shape of the brush just makes it incredibly easy to sit perfectly on the apples of the cheeks. It just fits really nicely there, and you can blend your blush nicely up towards the top of your ear. So the shape of this brush just makes it so much less work for you to worry about. This brush will make your life a whole lot easier. So the MAC 168 would be one of my all-time favourite blush brushes. And the next one is the Morphe E4 brush. I've only had this for a couple of weeks, but it's quickly becoming one of my favourite brushes. It is just so incredibly good to use for blush. I do like to use this for cream blushes as well because it's synthetic hairs, and the brush hairs, I wish you could feel this, they are so incredibly soft. They pick up just the perfect amount of colour, so you don't have to worry about getting a big dot of colour on your cheeks because the brush hairs just make it so easy to softly blend out the product. So once again, this has the nice angled shape to it, so it just sits perfectly on your cheeks. You just blend it nicely upwards towards the ear and your job is done. So this one is amazing for powder but also for cream blush as well. Morphe E4 brush. For highlighting, I do have a couple of different brushes for different uses, and these are the three that I really like. The first one is this ZOEVA 129 Luxe fan brush. This one is just so, oh my god, it's amazing. If you just want to quickly add a bit of highlight to your cheeks, you're in a little bit of a rush, this one just does it so easily. The brush hairs are super soft. Oh, they just, I can't get over how soft and how smooth they feel. And you can literally only need to pick up the tiniest bit of product and just blend it right on top of your cheekbones, and you have the most perfect looking highlight. So I love fan brushes for highlighting on top of the cheekbones especially, and this one is my favourite. This one here is the Anastasia A23 highlight brush. This one is such an amazing brush for highlighting. Oh, it's the perfect shape. It's like a nice oval top, so it fits really well on top of the cheekbones. And I love this brush because you can apply a highlight quite lightly, but you can definitely also pack it on with this brush. So that is why I do love this brush for that. I do find it fits perfectly on top of the cheeks. It's really easy to highlight down the center of the nose, on the tip of the nose, and even on the cupid's bow. So this one would be an all-round good highlight brush for highlighting the whole of your face. And then this one here is the Morphe M501, and this one is amazing. If you like really intense highlight, you're going to love this brush. It does have a bit more of a tapered finish at the top, so this is perfect for really precise highlighting. I like to use this to apply highlight right on that tip of the cheekbone there, and you just get this amazing pigment of colour, and it just looks like you're highlighted from the heavens. It's amazing. This is also really easy to use down the centre of the nose, tip of the nose, and the Cupid's bow as well. So the Morphe M501 is definitely a must-have highlighting brush. So now we're going to move on to eye brushes, which are my favourite brushes. This first brush is the ZOEVA 142 Concealer Buffing Brush, and what I love to use this brush for is to apply my paint pot base on my eyes. I just find it blends it into the eye really smoothly, and you get enough pigment of the eye prime on the lid, so it's nice and thick, so it doesn't crease, it just blends out really smoothly. So that is why I love to use this brush for applying my eye base to my eye. This one here is the Morphe G26, and this is a flat synthetic brush. I especially love to use this to set the eye base that I've applied with powder, so more of like a white or a cream toned powder. I like to use this brush to do that because it fits perfectly on the lid. It's nice and small. And I also like to use this brush for packing on colours onto the eyelid because it's quite a dense brush. The brush hairs are quite smooth, but they're quite compacted together, so this brush is amazing for both of those things. So I have a couple of blending brushes that I pretty much cannot live without. These brushes are definitely lifesavers. And this first brush is my MAC 224, and this is the most amazing fluffy blending brush that you will ever use. I love to use this to apply colours in the crease of the eye as your transition shades. It's so easy to apply colours in the crease lightly and then build them up so you don't apply too much product at once. That's why I like to use this one. It's a little bit more of a softer brush and a little bit bigger, so you can definitely blend it all along the top of your crease area and in your crease as well. So this is the MAC 224. This one here is the MAC 217, and this is definitely a holy grail makeup brush to have in your collection. This one is just the most absolute perfect brush for applying any colours in the crease of the eye. It literally just fits so perfectly in your crease. It blends out any eyeshadow seamlessly. There is no powder that gets stuck on your eyelids because this brush just softly blends it out so easily. I also like to use this to blend out underneath my eyes if I'm going for quite a diffused smoky eye look. So the MAC 217 is definitely a brush that you would need to have in your collection for any eye makeup look. This one is the MAC 221, and this is more of a recent newer brush that has come out, and I just find this the most amazing brush. It's a smaller version of the 217, so if you want to get more precisely into the crease, you could do a cut crease with this brush because it's small enough. The brush hairs are still quite dense that you can definitely build up colour in the crease. So I do love this to applying more colours densely in the crease area and also to blend out underneath my eyes. So this is the MAC 221 brush. These two brushes are my favourite brushes for applying eyeshadow onto the lid. The first one is the MAC 239, and this is the eyeshadow brush. This one is a really compact natural hair brush, so I find this really good for applying powder eyeshadows directly on the lid and just packing the colour straight on. This brush just picks up colour so amazingly, and you just get so much pigment when you just press it directly onto the lid. I don't find it works as well when you try to swipe it across your lid. You can get a bit more fallout, but if you're pressing it directly onto the lid, then you will get the most amazing pigment of colour from your eyeshadows. And then this brush here is the MAC 242. This is a synthetic brush, so I love to use this to apply glitter to the eyes or foiled eyeshadows. I usually spray this brush first with some Fix Plus, and then I'll pick up the glitter or the foiled eyeshadow and just pack it directly onto the lid, and that way you don't get any fallout. I find that a synthetic brush definitely works a lot better for glittery eyeshadows and foiled eyeshadows, because using a natural hair brush, I find you get a lot of fallout, whereas using a synthetic brush like this, you don't get any fallout at all. So this brush is amazing for applying those types of eyeshadows. My next favourite eye makeup brush is the MAC 219 pencil brush. This one is one of my all-time favourite brushes. It is so versatile. I love to use this brush to get really precisely in the crease for more of a cut crease look. I like to apply it quite densely in the outer corner for more of a darker smoky eye. You can use it underneath the eyes to smoke out your lower lash line, and I also use this brush for applying highlight, like directly in the inner corners of the eyes. So this brush definitely has a lot of different features that you can use it for, so it's very versatile, and I definitely couldn't do my makeup without a pencil brush like this one. This brush is the MAC 212 brush, and this is the most amazing brush for applying eyeshadow directly on your lower lash line and being very precise with how you're applying it. I do also love to use this brush to clean up my eyeliner. If I have found that the wing of my eyeliner isn't perfectly straight, what I'll do is apply a bit of concealer or a bit of eye makeup remover on this brush, and I'll just go in and just apply it straight along the wing to clean it up, and I find that it just works amazing for that. So this brush is really good for that, and you can also use it to apply eyeliner directly across the top of the lid, either a gel or a pencil, and I find that that works really well. So this brush is definitely quite versatile as well. These two brushes here are my favourite eyeliner brushes, and I swear I could not do a winged eyeliner or any type of eyeliner without using one of these makeup brushes. This first one here is the ZOEVA 315 Fine Liner Brush. I'm not sure if you can quite see it. There we go. This one has just got the most amazing fine pointed brush tip on it that I think I've ever seen, and because the brush handle is angled, it makes it so easy to get right into the inner corners of the eyes to apply your eyeliner. I used to find using a brush that was more kind of straight up and down, it'd be really kind of awkward to try and get into those areas of the eyes to do your eyeliner. So these types of brushes with the more slanted angle just make it a lot easier to access that area of the eyes. This brush applies the thin of the thinnest eyeliner you could ever do. The brush hair is so finely tipped that you could do the thinnest eyeliner that you like and then build it up to how thick you want the lines. That's why I love this brush specifically for applying liner directly across the eyelid. I do use this to wing out my eyeliner, but I do find you have to be quite precise when doing it with this type of brush, but I do still use it for that as well. So this is the ZOEVA Fine Liner Brush. This brush here is the MAC number 266, and it's the angle brush, and I absolutely love this brush for applying eyeliner. I love it to do the wing because it's got the little angled side to it. You can pretty much make the most perfect wing of your life doing eyeliner. It makes it so incredibly easy to do. So what I like to do is firstly apply the eyeliner across the top of my eye with the little tip of the brush facing inwards, and then when I get to the outside of my eye, I turn my brush around and I apply the wing going down from the top of my brow, and I just find it gives you the most even looking eyeliner on both sides of your eyes. I find that can be quite hard to do using more of the finer tip eyeliners, whereas this one's already got the angled shape to it, so it just makes it a lot easier to get even wings on both sides of the eyes. I do also like to use this brush to fill in my eyebrows as well. I find it works quite well with powder and with like dip brow pomade and those sorts of products. So this brush is very versatile for doing eyeliner and for doing your brows. My favourite makeup brush for applying my brow products is this one by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and it's the number 12 double-ended brow brush. So this brush pretty much has everything you need to do your brows with. It has the spoolie end on one side to comb through your brows, make sure they're all facing in the right direction, and once you've finished applying the products in your brows, you can comb them through again so the product is nice and evenly placed. So that spoolie brush is really important to use for your brows. And then the little angle brush on the other side is a synthetic brush, so I find this incredibly good to use with cream products that you're applying in your brows. So like a dip brow pomade would be perfect with this brush. You can just pick up the amount of product and just draw it straight by outlining your eyebrows and then going across and filling them in. I love this brush for doing your eyebrows with. I also find it works really well with powder as well. You don't need to use a lot of product because it's a synthetic brush. It'll pick up the product quite easily and you can just brush it straight through your brows. So this brow brush by Anastasia is my favourite one to use. And lastly, for lip products, these are my two favourite brushes to use. So the first one is the MAC 242. Once again, this is a synthetic brush, and this brush is pretty much the perfect shape for applying lip products with. Because it's a synthetic brush, it picks up any cream lipstick product really easily and is just the perfect shape for applying directly on the lips. I find you can turn the brush around and get nice and precise in the outer corners of the lips. So this brush I find is the perfect size for applying lipstick all over your lips and for lip gloss as well. It just fits perfectly along your lip shape, so it doesn't overdraw your lips too much, but you could definitely do that with this brush because it's synthetic, so you have a lot more control with the brush hairs. But I just think it's the perfect size to use for your lips, and it just blends the lipstick straight along your lips quite easily. And then this brush is the MAC 228 Small Shader Brush. I love this for applying more of an ombre type lip. So if you're applying lipstick straight over the lip and then you want to go in with a darker colour to kind of touch up the edges, I find this brush is really easy to use for that because it's so small. You can get right into those outer corners of the lips and blend out your darker lip colour. So this one I especially love for doing ombre lips, but you can definitely use this for applying lipstick over your whole lip and just being really precise with how you apply it, and that way you don't get any lipstick bleeding out the corners of your mouth. So this brush is really, really good for applying lipstick. So those were all of my favourite makeup brushes and my must-have brushes in my collection. I really hope you enjoyed this video. You got some ideas of some makeup brushes if you were looking at ones to buy, of which ones would be really good for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!